Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to another live Manchester United news and transfer news update show. Today we'll be talking about all the latest Manchester United news. We'll be going into Ten Hag's press conference where he's spoken about Harry Maguire, his mental health. He's been asked about the Maguire leaks coming out, blaming his teammates. He's been asked about Maguire's form and what has Ten Hag said about that. We'll be talking about Ten Hag's response to that and all of that going around. We'll also be talking about why Donny isn't playing, why Ten Hag isn't playing Donny, and the reasons behind that. We will be discussing the Manchester derby, Martial and Rashford back in training, which is absolutely brilliant. And of course, Ten Hag and Rashford win Player of the Month, which is absolutely brilliant. And then on my screen, you'll see fucking Jamie Carragher going in on Lisandro Martinez because Jamie Carragher keeps going on and on and on about Lisandro Martinez being too small. And this is what I'm going to say to Jamie Carragher. Pep Guardiola, pretty much the greatest manager of all time after Sir Alex Ferguson, has come out and spoken about how brilliant Lisandro Martinez is and how his height doesn't matter to be playing in the Premier League. But because Jamie Carragher, a player that didn't win loads, is telling me that he can't play centre back, am I meant to believe Jamie Carragher that Lisandro Martinez can't play centre back, or an actual manager that's won something in Pep Guardiola saying Lisandro Martinez's side doesn't matter? I think I will be believing Pep Guardiola. And I tell you what, these Lisandro Martinez agendas, they can get in the bin, because I'm telling you this, when he pockets Haaland on Sunday, what you're going to be saying? Nothing. You'll be speechless. But if for some reason he concedes a silly goal to Haaland, watch Jamie Carragher on Sky Sports. I told you you weren't tall enough for the Premier League. I told you you weren't tall enough for the Premier League. It'll be going on and on and on. But on a positive note, Rashford winning Player of the Month, guys. You just gotta love to see it. For me, I absolutely love to see it because Rashford is a confidence player. Rashford is a player I really like, and he gets way too much abuse. I think there's a lot of United players that get way too much abuse, but Rashford's one of it. Trashford. Look, Rashford was poor last season. Alanga took his place in the team. Rashford was crap last season, but people seem to forget what Rashford had done the 2 seasons before. And I always said, even when Rashford was crap, he's awful. But I said, and he's playing awful. But I said, there is a player in there, and I believe there's a player in there, and I want to see Rashford get back to his best. And although he only played 2 games, and it's one of the jammiest Player of the Month awards ever, he did play well. He does deserve that, because who else has had a better month for the Premier League than him? Can't really think of anyone off the top of my head. But he had been brilliant, and with Rashford, it's about confidence. He was at rock bottom just 6 months ago. You'd look at Marcus Rashford, you look at Man United, you think Marcus Rashford is done. People were saying, let's sell him to PSG. Marcus Rashford is finished. We honestly looked at Marcus Rashford before his career was finished, before it was done. We're like, how does he get out of this? Since the Euros, it's got worse and worse and worse. I think he's already equalled his goal tally from last season already this season in terms of the Premier League, or he's only a goal away or something. He's really turned it around this season. Erik Ten Hag really put some confidence in him. He's playing a striker, and I've always said I don't think Rashford's very good at striker, and he's still putting in a shift at striker. So I can't wait to see when he goes left wing, Martial goes back up top, and Sancho or Anthony on the right wing, and how they link up, because we're actually going to see the best of that attack, which will be really exciting. But I really think there's a big season ahead for Rashford, a big season ahead for Martial as well. We will talk about Ronaldo. What do we do with Ronaldo, guys? Because a lot of people are saying on Twitter, we can't play Ronaldo in the Manchester derby. And you know what? As much as I love Ronaldo, I actually understand why people are coming out saying, Man United shouldn't play Ronaldo in the derby. I actually do get it, because, we need pace. The only way we're going to beat Manchester City is pace in behind. The only way we're really going to get at Manchester City is pace in behind, is to counter-attack them. We need to do to Manchester City what we did to what we did to Arsenal, what we did to Liverpool. That is our only way of beating City, because obviously they are a much better team than us, Man City. And I am a little bit worried in that sense, that with Ronaldo, he would slow that down. And I think with Martial and Rashford, it depends how fit they are. But a lot of people say maybe even play Alanga over Ronaldo. And I do, and I hate saying this, and I never thought I'd be saying this, but we want to play Ronaldo against a team with a low block where you can put crosses into the box and Ronaldo can get his head on it. When you're playing Man City, when we're going to be counter-attacking them, I don't know if playing Ronaldo is actually the best option. But guys, what is the stream quality like, by the way? Please do let me know in the chat what the screen quality is like. And Stig says Jamie is an idiot. He must go tell Trent he can't defend. Literally. Jamie Carragher's got Lisandro Martinez agenda. Jamie Carragher went on and on and on about Ronaldo last season. Because Jamie Carragher doesn't like a player. He's not going to see the light and say the positive about them. He's just going to go on and on and on with the negatives. And it's funny because I've always said Lisandro Martinez has been absolutely brilliant. Lisandro Martinez has been fantastic for Manchester United these last 6 games. Him and Saliba have probably been the 2 best centre-backs in the Premier League this season. But imagine if Harry Maguire had played the last 6 games like Lisandro Martinez, and Harry Maguire put in those top-class performances. Everyone be coming out saying Harry Maguire proving critics wrong. No one wants to say it about Lisandro Martinez because they just want to wait until he's had a bad game and they can say negative things. And I tell you this, if Lisandro Martinez does have a bad game against Haaland, because every other centre-back in the Premier League can't handle Haaland, they'll be saying it's because of his height. They'll be saying he's not good enough, all of that, and they'll be writing him off. And I tell you, I fucking hope we win, and I fucking hope Haaland didn't score a goal, and I fucking hope Lisandro Martinez comes off with a man of the match like he did versus Liverpool, because this guy has got more stick than anyone else before he'd even kicked the ball. You know, Maguire's getting a lot of stick at the moment. We will talk about that. I am going to talk about what Ten Hag said about Harry Maguire, but Lisandro Martinez is getting more stick than any other player right now, and he's not even kicked a football. And I sit there and I think, sorry, before he'd even kicked a football, before he'd even played for United and kicked a football, he was already being told he can't do it. He had a bad game. Everyone was saying he's not good enough. Everyone was going in on him. Everyone was saying, Lisandro Martinez this, Lisandro Martinez that. You know, I felt for Lisandro Martinez, and he's proven people wrong, but he's not going to get the credit for it. They're just waiting until he has a bad game. And I say to Jamie Carragher, you can go on and on about Lisandro Martinez not being good enough, but if Pep Guardiola is sitting out there praising Lisandro Martinez, saying what a fantastic player he is, and as you can see, his height isn't that much of an issue, I think I'd rather listen to Pep Guardiola's opinions on football than Jamie Carragher, because one is one of the best managers of all time, and one is a pundit on Sky Sport, if I'm being honest as well. Is the quality a little bit better? Is the quality a little bit better, by the way, guys? I'm sorry if the quality's dropped. Martinez can do a clean swipe of Haaland. The last time Lisandro Martinez played Erling Haaland, he was in his pocket. He was Erling Haaland was in Lisandro Martinez's pocket. I'm telling you this. What happened? Ajax beat Dortmund 4-0. Lisandro Martinez put the 10 out of 10 performance, got a clean sheet, and Haaland didn't stand a chance. The last time Núñez came up against Lisandro Martinez, he was pocketed. Lisandro Martinez is pocketing the big Núñez and the big Haaland in the Premier League when he was playing in the Champions League. But you're telling me he can't play for United because he's 5'9". You know what, Jamie Carragher? Just get over your agenda, because I tell you this, he gave Ronaldo a lot of stick. He's now focusing on Lisandro Martinez when he needs to be focusing on who's bad and who's good. Because look, if Lisandro Martinez has a poor game, I'll say he's had a poor game. But I know if Lisandro Martinez has a poor game versus City on Sunday, it's not because he can't do it in the Prem. He's just having a one-off poor game. Everyone's allowed good games. Everyone's allowed bad games. De Bruyne has had some stinkers in the past. Does that mean De Bruyne is not good enough for the Premier League because he has one bad game? No, it's absolutely crazy. But look, guys, I do want to get into some more news, stories, and all of that as well. So please do smash the like button. The pundits are going to be watching the match with their fingers crossed Martinez has a bad game. You're absolutely correct. And all they can hope for, considering they haven't got any good insights to offer. Exactly. The pundits will be sitting there praying he has a bad game because they need their clicks. They need something to talk about. But I do want to get into Ten Hag's press conference and what he's had to say about Harry Maguire and Harry Maguire's recent form, because as you guys know, Harry Maguire has not been particularly good for Manchester United as of lately. And Erik Ten Hag's come out and spoken about Maguire, spoken about his poor form, and spoken about the Maguire leaks. So the first thing Erik Ten Hag came out and said in his press conference today is that Harry Maguire is injured for the rest, we have some doubts. Anthony Martial was training all week with the group, performing well, makes a good impression. Marcus Rashford has returned to training, so we're happy with that. So Ten Hag's come back in the press conference and said Maguire's definitely out and that Rashford and Martial were doubts, but they're back in training. I think because it's Manchester City, because it's such a big game, Marcus Rashford and Martial will be involved. Now, I don't know if they'll start. I think tomorrow we'll get stronger indications if they'll start. I will be live tomorrow for a match preview for Man United versus Man City, a derby match preview. I don't know if Martial's going to start. I couldn't tell you if Rashford's going to start just yet. But I think that they are back in training. The fact that Martial's been back in training for a week, it's very positive. It's strong indications that they will be available to play or come off the bench, whereas Harry Maguire will not be allowed around to play because Harry Maguire did get injured in the England game. And look, I actually do feel a bit sorry for Maguire having to play the England game injured. I think what Maguire needs to do is focus on staying fit and try and get back in that United squad before anything, because his United form is more important. But Erik Ten Hag did talk about Harry Maguire, and Erik Ten Hag said some good things about Harry Maguire, and I really respect what Ten Hag said about Harry Maguire because there's a lot of pressure on him and he doesn't want to knock his confidence. So Ten Hag said on Harry Maguire, The players, managers and coaches here at United all believe in Maguire and I'm convinced he will turn it around. So Ten Hag said he's convinced Harry Maguire will turn it around. Ten Hag was then asked about like the mental health of his players and Maguire's mental health, considering he's getting a lot of stick. And Ten Hag said regarding football players' mental health, it is an aspect of top football. It's an aspect of our work. We set conditions for that, and we also have experts about. So Ten Hag was then asked about Maguire's mental health because he's getting a lot of hate. How's Maguire coping with the psychological side? And Ten Hag said it's part of football. You have to be able to deal with hate. You have to be able to deal with criticism. And I like how Ten Hag said that. He's not being one of those softy, handy-pandy saying, I can't believe people are slagging him off on Twitter, because Ten Hag knows everyone's allowed an opinion on football. Everyone's allowed to criticise someone on football. And Ten Hag knows that Maguire deserves criticism. But unfortunately, there are a minority of people out there that will turn criticism into abuse. And when it comes to the abuse, Ten Hag is saying, football players, they're meant to expect that with their job. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the job. But we have people at Man United, and if a football player is struggling with their mental health, we're here to talk to them about it. So there are rumours that Maguire is struggling with the mental health side of things, but United have got the people to deal with that. And look, Maguire is getting abuse and his confidence is low. But I think what Maguire needs is a break from football. I would take that captain's armband off him to just relieve that pressure and just focus on himself. He's got Ten Hag coming out saying he does believe Maguire can get back to his best. He's saying, he's not been good enough, and Maguire just needs to accept he's not been good enough, get his head down. Someone mentioned it in my live stream the other day that Harry Maguire really needs to take some notes from Scott McTominay, in all honesty. How Scott McTominay sort of got his head down. Scott McTominay was under a lot of criticism. The first game of the season, Harry Maguire wasn't even one of the worst players on the pitch. First game of the season versus Brighton, I could name you 5 better players, 5 players that were worse than Harry Maguire in that first game versus Brighton. McTominay was the worst. When we played Brighton, McTominay was the worst. I sat here, I thought, fuck me, sell McTominay now, sell him. We've got a few weeks left of the window. Scott McTominay, it was fucking dreadful. And he's got a lot of stick for that. He got a lot of stick because he deserved the criticism, and then he gets abused because of some idiots. But since then, McTominay's put his head down. He's not made excuses. He's not come out with leaks blaming everyone else. McTominay's put his head down. He's not focused on what anyone else has been saying. He's seen Casemiro's come in. He's been working hard. Ten Hag gave him an opportunity, and he proved himself. He played really well. And Scott McTominay, a player that I've never rated that highly, and I don't think has been that good for United in the past and hadn't deserved to play. The last 5-6 games has been absolutely incredible and put his head down. And that is what Harry Maguire needs to do. He needs to put his head down and stop, ignore what people say. Stop making excuses. Stop doing this PR, looking for sympathy, and put your head down. Ten Hag said on Maguire that he is doing quite well, but there is room for improvement. And if he believes in his own skills, he will be back. I'm convinced that his abilities are really high. And Ten Hag, when talking about Maguire, he's not being all PR. He's not going to go out there and say, oh, Maguire's been good, because Ten Hag knows Maguire's been poor. But Ten Hag said about Maguire, he's doing all right mentally, but there is room for improvement. And he said regarding Harry Maguire, Ten Hag said he needs to believe in his own skills and he'll be back, and he's convinced of that. His abilities are high. And I really like and respect how Ten Hag's responded to this in the interview. Ten Hag's come out in this interview and said regarding Harry Maguire, he needs to believe in himself. And a lot of people being like, oh, why is Ten Hag being so nice about Harry Maguire? Why is Ten Hag being so nice about Harry Maguire? And I say to these people, do you want our manager to come out and say Maguire's been shit? Because I know a lot of you guys here don't like Maguire and you'll say he's been shit. But would you, if Ten Hag came out publicly and said Maguire's been shit, you know what? I'd actually be fuming with Ten Hag. Because all we can do is criticise a player from how they are on a pitch. But I've always said with Marcus Rashford when he was at his worst, we criticise him, we say he's not good enough. But it's all about confidence. And, when we go on and on and on about these players, it really knocks confidence. And Ten Hag's come on and talks about how amazing Maguire is and Rashford is and all of our players because he wants the players to buy into him. If you're Harry Maguire and your manager's slagging you off, saying you're shit, Harry Maguire's never going to get back to his best. He's just going to get worse and worse and worse because he's going to struggle with that mentally. And even if Harry Maguire does get back to his best, he's not going to want to play for a manager that's calling him shit. If Harry Maguire sees Ten Hag coming out saying, I believe in Maguire, I believe he'll get back to his best, I know there's a good player in Maguire, that does the world of good for Maguire. Because Maguire will hear that and he'll go, my manager believes in me, he knows I'm going to get back to my best, and he still rates me, so I know when I get back to my best, I'm going to get a chance. And that gives Maguire the boost he needs. So I really like how Ten Hag's dealt with this Maguire situation. He's not gone and protected Maguire, saying he's been good. He's saying Maguire needs to do better, but he's also saying what Maguire needs to do to be better, and he's saying that he believes in Maguire. He's given Maguire what he needs to hear. You need to do better. You've been okay, but you need to do better to be United standard. I believe you can do better because you're a top player. I believe in you. I like how Ten Hag's handled that. He's also said, as footballers, we should expect stick. We should expect criticism. We should expect getting stick. It is part of our job. And I think Ten Hag's responded to that quite well. The last thing Ten Hag said regarding Harry Maguire is he said that I have to coach Harry Maguire and back him. I back him because I believe in him. I can see his quality. And I can see there's quality there in Maguire. Almost 50 caps for England. He has high potential. Then it's about him, and we believe in him. And Ten Hag said, I am Maguire's coach. I've got to back him. And Ten Hag said, I'm not going to sit here slagging off Maguire saying he's been poor because I'm his coach. I've got to back him and believe in him. I know there's qualities in Maguire, and hopefully he can get back there, back to his best. So I do really respect how Ten Hag's handled that. And Rebuild says, must be hard making millions to do next to nothing. Maybe he's upset because he expects praise after these performances. A real man would accept his fault and try and be better. Maguire makes excuses. I agree. Harry Maguire's been poor. But Harry Maguire, as I said, needed to do what Scott McTominay did. Stop making excuses for being poor. Stop looking for a bit of PR. Accept he's been poor and move on. That's what Harry Maguire needs to do. He needs to stop making excuses, stop PR for being poor, and stop blaming everyone else for his poor form. And as I said, that's what Maguire needs to do. And Ten Hag's here just saying, I believe that Maguire can do better, and I believe he will do better as well. Parfinger says, I don't think Martinez can keep up with Haaland for the whole match. I don't blame him if he can't because Haaland is surrounded by very skilled passers. One or two balls might pass through Martinez. I tell you what, it will be the biggest test for Martinez and Varane against Haaland. It will be a much bigger test than Arsenal. And if they can deal with Arsenal, they can deal with Liverpool. I think hopefully we can deal with City. I do think we'll be playing a low line, but I think Sunday is going to be a massive test. Eric, Marcel, Maguire, we spoke about this in my video earlier today. Harry Maguire is thinking about leaving Manchester United. Harry Maguire is assessing his options, and Manchester United are monitoring King Min-jae, who's been really good at Napoli this season. And actually, Manchester United are actually monitoring the player. Samuel Lutkes, who obviously gets inside information from the club, says if Maguire's situation doesn't change, then he'd have to consider his future going into next summer. So even Samuel Lutkes said that Maguire will have to consider his Man United future going into next summer. And we spoke about this in my video earlier today. I said, look, I think Maguire will leave Manchester United in the summer. I think, it's very clear that unless Varane gets injured and Maguire finds his form back, he's not getting back in. Maguire will play a part in this season, but I just think so much has happened surrounding Maguire. It's not going well for him. I think for his own benefit, he should probably leave Man United. And Maguire's got two options. He's either, when Varane gets injured, he's either got to have that Xhaka kind of redemption, put his head down, ignore everyone and get back to his best and win over Ten Hag, which he might do. Or I think it will be time to assess and leave at the end of the season. Now, we know Ten Hag wants a centre-back in the summer. Ten Hag's made his transfer plan. He wants a centre-back in. He wants a long-term Ronaldo replacement in. He wants a midfielder in. He wants a goalkeeper in. And he wants a right-back in. And I think the reason Ten Hag wants a centre-back in is because I think Maguire or Lindelof, and I think at this rate it could even be Maguire just because he will want to be playing regular first-team football, is likely to be off in the summer. And obviously it came out by Alfredo Padella, or what's he called? It came out by Alfredo Padella, who's a very good foreign journalist, saying that United, would be happy to pay the 44 million release clause for Napoli defender King Min-jae, and that would not be a problem for them, the price tag. And I think, United are keeping an eye on centre-backs, accepting that Maguire could leave United come summer because, I don't think his situation is going to change. I don't think he's going to do enough to get in over Varane unless there's a major injury to Varane. But you know what? I think Harry Maguire shouldn't be United captain, and I think, I'd love a new centre-back in and to sell Maguire right now. But the best case scenario we can hope for, and I will say this now, is that Maguire gets back to his best. The best case scenario we can hope for is Maguire has a Xhaka redemption and becomes a big part of Ten Hag's squad next season is really, really good. I think that is the best possible outcome, and I actually think that is the outcome as United fans that we should be hoping for. We should be hoping for Maguire to turn it around and have a good season, but I do think he would potentially be off in the summer as well. Imagine the different take when it was Pogba. I do think if Pogba had been putting in the performances Maguire had been putting in, he would have been getting ridiculous amount of abuse as well. And Martinez, we are counting on you, please, since Haaland. I know you're the best centre-back. Right now, name me a better centre-back than Lisandro Martinez right now. He's been absolutely brilliant as well. And as Diego says, guys, please do smash that like button and subscribe for all the latest Manchester United news as well. And if Erik Ten Hag is who we think he is, he'll be thinking, my God, Maguire's crap. He should leave and run out of the club. Yeah, Ten Hag might think that, but Ten Hag is a proper manager. Ten Hag is a proper manager, and he's only going to go and say positive things about Maguire because Ten Hag knows as a manager, at this stage of football, it's all about getting confidence up. Ten Hag is coming out saying, look, Maguire's not been at his best. Look, as part of Maguire's job, he will get criticism, he will get stick. We've got people to deal with the mental side of that. If Maguire needs help, we've got mental help people with it. But Ten Hag sits there and Ten Hag is saying, Maguire's played 50 games for England. I know there's a good player in Maguire. He just needs to put his head down, focus on getting back to his best. And Ten Hag is absolutely brilliant saying that. Because I'm telling you guys, and you guys will disagree with me, Harry Maguire isn't useless. He's not god-awful. He isn't useless. But for the last year, he has been useless. Harry Maguire, when he was playing in the Euros, the 2021 season before the Euros, he was a good centre-back. He was a top 5 centre-back in the Premier League that season. And then he massively dropped off. But there, he's not god-awful. He is Premier League level standard. But right now, he's not been good enough for the last year. There are factors that influence that. Yes, playing with De Gea doesn't help him. Yes, playing with Varane doesn't complement him. But he cannot make excuses. He has to deal with it. Because Martinez can play with De Gea and Varane and do a much better job. But he's not useless. And we are playing a game every 3 days from now on. And Varane will get injured and Martinez will get injured. And, so we do need Maguire. And Harry Maguire will be used this season because Ten Hag will need him because there will be injuries, there will be a lot of games. So what good would it do for Ten Hag to say Maguire's shit, he's been shit for a year, I want to sell him? No good, because Ten Hag is doing everything he can to get Maguire back to his best. I don't think Maguire should be captain. I think we should sell Maguire in the summer, and I don't think Maguire should be starting over Lisandro Martinez or Varane, but I know we need Maguire for squad reasons because if Varane or Martinez get injured, we need Maguire. And if we need Maguire at his best. If we have Maguire coming in to replace Varane and it's the Maguire we seen the last year, we're fucked. If we have Maguire coming in who's got his confidence back, that's got back to his best replacing Varane, we're not in that big of an issue. We're not in that bad of a situation. And that is why Ten Hag is coming out defending Maguire in the sense of, look, Maguire's not been good enough. Look, he will get stick. That's part of his job. He's not, sympathising with Maguire. He's not protecting Maguire. But he's saying, I know there's a player in Maguire. And that is what Ten Hag should be doing. Because we don't want shit Maguire playing for United. We don't want shit Maguire anywhere near Manchester United. No, we just don't as well. We are rumoured to get Timber in the summer. Timber and Kim Min-jae are 2 players rumoured to be joining Manchester United in the summer as well. And Maguire doesn't have the pace required for Ten Hag's system. I get why you say that, but right now we're playing a very low line, so I think Maguire could deal with it. But when we do play a high line, I think it would be harder for Maguire. But right now, United are actually playing the lowest line in the Premier League. Which I find really interesting as well. And a lot of people talk about Timber. Ten Hag would have known Maguire's face even before he started. He just has a certain class about him where he will not embarrass him openly. Yeah, Ten Hag, guys, if Ten Hag had come out and said Maguire's been shit, that does no good. That would almost be worse as well. But look, I want to get into the next story and all of that. So please do smash that like button. Please do subscribe down below. Please do share the video. I want to talk about Donny Van De Beek. And why potentially Donny Van De Beek isn't playing for Manchester United. There's a lot of rumours and speculation around why isn't Donny playing for United, when will Donny be involved, and all of that. And the pure reason Donny isn't playing for United is because, not many other players are playing for United. Fred's not been getting back in much since Brentford, and a lot has come out about Donny's future. And Donny is back in training, and Donny isn't going to play versus Manchester City, and Ten Hag isn't playing Donny Van De Beek yet. But when Donny was injured, he was meant to play instead of Fred in that 10 role versus Sheriff. Donny Van De Beek is the only player Ten Hag knows can do that Eriksen and Bruno role in his squad. Fred can't, Casemiro can't, McTominay can't, Donny can. And we cannot play Eriksen and Bruno every single game when we got a game every 3 days. And Ten Hag has reportedly said to Donny Van De Beek, you're going to be a big part of my squad. Ten Hag has come out, he's told Donny Van De Beek, he's informed Donny Van De Beek, you're going to be a big part of my squad. There's games coming up every 3 days. Donny, you're not playing now, but you will be a big part of the squad. And when you actually look into it, and when you actually look into everything going around and the whole situation, you've got to remember this one thing. You've got to remember that Donny Van De Beek did an interview a month ago. I covered this just over a month ago. Donny Van De Beek did an interview. And he said he's looking forward to when we're playing 2 games a week because he loves playing matches more than training. Why would Donny Van De Beek come out in an interview and when he's not even playing and saying he likes it when we're playing 2-3 games a week instead of 1 because he prefers that to training? You're not even playing in the matches. Why would Donny say that in an interview? Donny said that in an interview because Ten Hag has told Donny, I'm not going to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer you. I'm not going to lie to you. You're going to be involved. You're going to play, Donny. That's what Ten Hag said to Donny. He said, you will feature. You will play. You will be involved. He's made that clear to Donny Van De Beek. He's not going to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer him. He's not going to fuck him about. So Donny's confident he's going to get game time. He just knows he's got to wait until the games are coming around. And Donny would have played the 2 Europa League games, but he was injured. Donny will play against Omonia, whoever we're playing on Thursday. Donny will be heavily involved, and Ten Hag has told Donny that because he's the only player that can do Eriksen and Bruno's role. And, players like Fred aren't playing much. Players like Casemiro aren't playing much, and players like Luke Shaw aren't playing much, and even Maguire's not playing much. But all those players, whether you like it or not, are going to be very important because you've got to forget, this is the season where squad depth is probably more important than any other season in the past. This is the season where squad depth has probably been at its most important aspect in general football. There's not been a time where we've needed squad depth more at United. There's not been a time because we generally are playing a game every 3 days from now until the World Cup. Then after the World Cup, assuming we stay in cup competitions, we will then be playing a game every 3 days. And, as much as I love Martial and Rashford and Bruno and Eriksen and Lisandro Martinez and Varane, if they played every single one of those games, they would massively drop off because they would be knackered. They would be tired and they just wouldn't be anywhere near as good. But they're going to get injured. The sad truth is Varane's going to get injured. Martial's going to get injured. Rashford's going to get injured again. So you need your players like Donny Van De Beek for your Eriksens and your Brunos. You need your players like your Luke Shaws for your Malacias. And I was saying this today, and I don't know if you guys agree. I'm interested to get your input, so do let me know in the chat. If Dalot gets injured, who do you play at right back? Who would you guys play at right back if Diego Dalot gets injured? Because my honest thought process is, if Diego Dalot gets injured, I'd quite like to see Malacia at right back. We saw Malacia at right back for a little bit in that game, and he was very, very good. And I just think right now, Ten Hag was playing Lindelof over Wan-Bissaka at right back. I think if there's an injury to Dalot, we have to move Malacia right back and put Luke Shaw left back, because Luke Shaw is a miles better player than Wan-Bissaka, and Ten Hag just not want Wan-Bissaka. Ten Hag is trying to get rid of Wan-Bissaka. Ten Hag is trying to kick Wan-Bissaka out, but we couldn't get any deals for Wan-Bissaka, and Ten Hag thought, well, we haven't got a right back in to be back up to Dalot. We'll keep Wan-Bissaka. We got an interesting story about Ten Hag come out by Lutka saying that Ten Hag would have an additional training session on Saturday to allow players struggling with issues to prove their fitness. So obviously we know that Martial and Rashford are back in training, back from injuries, but we don't know how fit they are. So tomorrow we're going to find out if Martial and Rashford will be fit enough to play on Sunday. Tomorrow I will be live this time tomorrow, so make sure you subscribe and post notification bell on. But this time tomorrow I will be live to let you know if Rashford and Martial will be able to play versus Man City, because Ten Hag will be having a big training session to discuss if they're fit enough as well. But I think I would play Malacia right back and Luke Shaw left back rather than Malacia left back and Wan-Bissaka right back, I'm being honest. People talking about Brandon Williams right back. I think Brandon Williams, I wouldn't be shocked if Brandon Williams never played for United again. And the reason I say this is because Ten Hag kicked Brandon Williams and Tuanzebe and Phil Jones out of the dressing room to make room for other players. Phil Jones, Brandon Williams, and Tuanzebe, Ten Hag's has kicked them out of the dressing room. Ten Hag sent them to the under-23s. Ten Hag doesn't want them. Ten Hag wants them gone. Ten Hag doesn't want Wan-Bissaka. I tell you, Wan-Bissaka will play because Dalot cannot play every single game. Brandon Williams, unless it's an injury crisis, I don't think will ever play for United again. Ten Hag doesn't want him. Phil Jones will never play for United again unless there's an injury crisis. Ten Hag doesn't want him. Ten Hag kicked him out of the dressing room before anyone else and basically said, fuck off. We didn't actually say fuck off to Phil Jones, but it was very obvious that Ten Hag's just saying, the medical staff can practice on you. You're done. Tuanzebe is potentially a player that could come in and get an opportunity, and he will be picked before Phil Jones if there is an injury crisis. But I think Tuanzebe stays at United done, which is sad because there was a good player in Tuanzebe. I remember when he pocketed Neymar and Mbappe, and I always thought there could be a good player in Tuanzebe, and I think Ole never gave him a chance, and I think United did send him out on poor loans, but He's one of those players where was he good enough? Probably not, but could he have been better than what we had at the time? Potentially. I'm very intrigued to see how James Garner does at Everton, though, because if James Garner's poor for Everton, fair enough. But reportedly, Ten Hag, remember this, Ten Hag reportedly wanted to keep James Garner, and it was the board that forced Ten Hag into selling James Garner. Ten Hag wanted James Garner. Ten Hag wanted to use James Garner. Ten Hag wanted to play James Garner, but reportedly the board told Ten Hag he needed to sell James Garner or we wouldn't be able to bring any more players in. And that's reportedly why United did sell James Garner, which I think is absolutely outrageous. But, we'll wait and see. If James Garner isn't good enough, it's not the end of the world. But if James Garner does sit there and prove to be good enough, I'll be looking at thinking, the board, what have you fucking done? I'll be looking at the United board. What have you done as well? Williams and Jones are always injured. And Ten Hag just doesn't want them. He's ready to kick them out. Slow news day for Luckhurst, stating the obvious, up for Maguire to change the situation. Yeah, I do agree. I think, Maguire will leave if the situation doesn't change. You do make a point. And since Casemiro's arrival, McTominay turned into prime Casemiro and Casemiro turned into prime McTominay. Well, Casemiro was very, very good in the international break. Now, we will talk about the City game because reportedly it will probably be a very similar lineup to that played versus Arsenal. But Casemiro wasn't great in the last game for United because I don't think he's match sharp. But Casemiro was absolutely fantastic in the international break for Brazil when Scott McTominay was actually played in midfield for Scotland and was absolutely fantastic. So I have to say this about Scott McTominay. He's been brilliant. I think Diego Dalot has been absolutely fantastic since Ten Hag's come in. I have to give a lot of plaudit to Diego Dalot. He's really turned it around. He looks absolutely undroppable and has been one of the best right-backs in the Premier League this season. McTominay's completely turned it around. It's only 6 games in, but if he can get that consistency going and build it up, then fair play to McTominay. There's a lot of players that are looking very good for United, looking like they've very much turned it around. Lisandro Martinez, the first game of the season, absolutely fantastic, shutting the haters down. Rafael Varane this season is a lot better than Varane last season. Now, I don't think Varane was bad last season. A lot of players were saying Varane was crap last season. I never thought Varane was bad for United last season. I didn't think Varane was at his best. But I didn't ever think Varane was poor for United last season. I just thought he was a bit iffy. He was unreliable. He was always injured. Varane this season has been rock solid. Like Varane and Martinez as a centre-back pairing this season have been rock solid. Like no one is getting close to them. Diego Dalot is a right-back. Name me a better right-back this season. Scott McTominay actually playing like prime Casemiro. Christian Eriksen has been absolutely classy United. Absolutely fantastic. I am absolutely amazed by how brilliant Eriksen has been. A free transfer, Christian Eriksen, and he's blown me out of the park with just how fantastic he's been for United. And this is all Ten Hag. Rashford getting back to his best. Sancho scoring goals. Sancho looking good. Eriksen looking fantastic. McTominay looking like a new player. Dalot looking like a new player. And I am confident that players like Luke Shaw are going to have a good season. I said this. I will say this now, and you can clip this. You can go back to this, and you can bully me, and you can banter me if I'm wrong. But I think Luke Shaw's going to have a hell of a season. If you look at Luke Shaw, let me show you the pictures of Luke Shaw. Man, Luke Shaw looks hell of in shape. Like, honestly, let me show you the photos of Luke Shaw going around. Look how thin he is. I've not seen Luke Shaw look that thin since maybe the Van Gaal era when he was at Southampton. Luke Shaw was good for England, and it's come out that Malacia is given Luke Shaw probably one of the biggest kick up the buns ever, because a lot of people don't know this about Tyrell Malacia. But Tyrell Malacia is the first to arrive at United and one of the last to leave training. Apparently Malacia is quite quiet in training, but apparently Malacia is one of the hardest working players, and apparently Luke Shaw will see that Malacia will do extra stuff in the gym, and Malacia is one of the last players to leave training. And all of a sudden, Luke Shaw's woken up and he's seen Malacia putting all these extra things in after training. Malacia doing all of this in the gym. And within the space of 2 months, Luke Shaw's gone from stocky. And I never thought Luke Shaw was fat. I never said Luke Shaw was fat. I never thought he was fat. I always thought it was like Rooney, where he had a bigger build. Because even when Luke Shaw was brilliant in the Euros, he's always been a bigger build. But Luke Shaw's completely changed in the last month and a bit. And apparently a massive impact is that he sees Tyrell Malacia be given 100% in training, being crazy good in training, and then being the last to leave and doing extra in the gym. And this has given Luke Shaw a massive boost of, I want to play in the World Cup. I've got to get back in the United squad. And I did a video on this whole situation, but all of the new signings that Ten Hag have brought in have had a massive impact on the Man United squad in general. They've had a massive, massive impact in general on the United squad. Luke Shaw now going to the gym, putting extra stuff in, losing weight. And Luke Shaw was good for England the other day, and I will tell you this, Luke Shaw's going to have a good season. Malacia, fantastic, doing the work, setting an example. The Man United players have come out, and apparently the Man United players were mesmerised by how hard Antony works in training. Apparently, Antony, Martinez, and Casemiro in training are absolute workhorses. They took it to another level. Apparently, the high standards Christian Eriksen has brought to United has brought training to another level. And we know with Ten Hag's hard training and work rate, it's brought training to another level. But all the new signings that Erik Ten Hag brought into Manchester United are players with a reputation of working hard, players with a reputation of playing, giving 100% on and off the pitch. In training last year, it was come out by Bruno. Bruno said in an interview, in training last year, there was a lack of discipline. Players were allowed to get away with all sorts of things. Bruno came out and just basically said training last year was a mess. Players were allowed to get away with all sorts of things. There was a clear lack of discipline. La-di-la-di-la. This had come out by Bruno Fernandes. And this season, Bruno was saying, oh my God, training is so intense. Training's so hard. Ten Hag's brilliant. He's very strict. You've got to give 100%. He's brought in the discipline. And then you hear players coming out talking about Malacia being the last to leave the gym, Eriksen demanding high standards in training, setting an example. Casemiro's come in. He's got, the dressing room buys into him because he's a warrior. He's a leader. All he's won, and the players looking at Casemiro and going, wow, I'm going to follow you. A good example in the dressing room. A leader in the dressing room that's not a leader for a bad reason. They're a leader because they're a mature professional. You've got, obviously, Martinez and Antony. Apparently in training, they're mad dogs. They were literally described as mad dogs in training because apparently the work rate and effort they put in training has made everyone else step up in training. And I think that's rubbed off on players like Dalot. Look at Dalot's attitude and mentality on the pitch. It's different. Look at McTominay. Now, McTominay's always had a very good character, and I've always praised McTominay for his off-the-field character and his work rate, but he did lack on the pitch. But maybe just seeing everyone around him, seeing the competition, has given McTominay that kick up the arse. Rashford's got that kick up the arse. He's tracking back. Sancho's tracking back. There's a whole mentality at United now where these new signings have come in, and reportedly the new signings have come in and they've actually massively changed the mentality of United. They've had a massive impact on the overall mentality of United, these new signings and all of that. And that's brilliant because every single player is looking to do better. And I think Luke Shaw, we're going to really see the effect of this and all of that as well. Did you see the video of Malacia jumping over someone's shoulders? Malacia is absolutely mad in the gym. Malacia is absolutely mad. And Maguire and Luke Shaw shocked at how the players from other countries train. And I think Maguire and Luke Shaw are going to come back and be really good. Especially Luke Shaw. I just know with Luke Shaw, he can handle a dip well. My question marks over Maguire is, can Maguire get his head down, and does Maguire have the mentality to get over his dip in form and handle it? That's my question with Maguire, because that's how I felt about Rashford. Rashford had a poor period, and it was a point where I wasn't sure if there was any going back for Rashford, but Rashford's obviously proved himself, and you can see a much better Marcus Rashford. Rashford's getting back to his best. Now, my big question is, McTominay had a dip in form, he's got back to his best. Luke Shaw had a dip in form, he got back to his best. Will Maguire be back to his best? That is my question, but I do believe Luke Shaw will as well. And the new signings have raised the bar for United massively. They have. And Ten Hag's put Varane on a special training course because he's injury prone. I wasn't familiar with that, but that's very interesting as well. And what I like about Ten Hag is the care he's putting into players' injuries. Ten Hag doesn't want any Man United players to get injured. Ten Hag is being very cautious with injuries. When we go back into that Martial interview, remember Anthony Martial came out in an interview, and Martial said in that interview, he's obviously, one of the reasons he struggled a lot under Ollie is because Ollie made him play injured. Martial came out and he said he had not been good because Ollie made him play injured, and Ollie making him play injured made him struggle. And Martial came out and said that. And he said because he was playing injured under Ollie, he couldn't play his best, and because he wasn't playing his best, his confidence was gone. Martial went from a player that had one of the best seasons ever in the 2021 season under Ollie, absolutely incredible. Sorry, the 1920 season under Ollie, Martial was incredible. COVID Martial, 17 non-penalty goals, the most ever non-penalty goals scored by a Premier League player for Man United since Sir Alex. Martial was absolutely fantastic in the 1920 season. He was like a different gravy. And then because Rashford was injured and Rashford's injury was worse, Ollie said, no, Martial, you've got to play injured. And Martial said, because Ollie made me play injured, I wasn't as quick, I wasn't on the ball as much, I didn't play as well because I was playing injured, and because I wasn't playing as well, my confidence went. And then when I got injured fully and I had to take time out, I never got back in the squad. And Ten Hag's being very careful with how he treats players. Ten Hag is the reason Martial's been out for so long is because Ten Hag doesn't even want to risk it. He wants Martial playing when he's fully fit and when Martial's ready to play. Because Ten Hag was heard what Ollie did, and reportedly Ten Hag was disgraced with what Ollie did. Ten Hag was disgraced with how Ollie treated players, and Ten Hag's been working very hard to make sure he doesn't treat the players like Ollie does. Ten Hag's made it very clear to Donny he does have a plan to play him, and has told Donny exactly when he plans on playing him. Ten Hag's made his plan clear to Martial, saying, I won't play you injured. If you're injured, I won't make you play. I want you playing when you're ready to play and you're at your best. Because the toxicity happened when Martial was playing injured, Maguire was playing injured, over players that could have played that were fit, and they were playing poor because they were injured. And because they were playing poor, their confidence was knocked, and they were playing worse, and it was harder for them to get over. The big problem started when Ten Hag lied to Lingard, Dean Henderson, Bailly, Donny. Not Ten Hag, Ollie, not Ten Hag. Ollie lied to Dean Henderson, Bailly, Donny, Lingard, saying, I need you to stay at United, don't leave, I'm going to play you. And then they would never play. And it's not like they'd never play because the team was winning and, they couldn't get in and they weren't good enough. They were never given a chance. There's a reason because you're not playing because you're not good enough and not been given a chance. And Ten Hag reportedly disgraced with Ollie's treatment of players, disgraced with sort of Ollie had done. Ten Hag had made it very clear to Manchester United players, no, I'm going to give you an opportunity. I'm going to play you. You will be in my plans. He said to Donny, and Donny said this in the interview, when there's a game coming up every 3 days, players like Donny, Fred, Casemiro, Luke Shaw, Maguire, who haven't played much for United, will feature because he will be rotating a lot. And he's told Donny, this is when you're going to play. I can't play Eriksen and Bruno every game. You play in their role. There's going to be games like the Omonia game in the Europa League where you're going to play. And Ten Hag said to Donny, if you play well and you take your opportunity and you win, you can play in the Premier League team. And Ten Hag's not just said this to Donny, Ten Hag's laid this to every Man United player. Ten Hag's told every Man United player, if you play well, you keep your place in the team. If you perform, if you play well, you stay in the team, you keep your place in the team. La-di-la-di-la. He's saying, if you've not played yet, don't worry. You're going to get a chance. Ten Hag's reminding everyone, this is an intense fixture list. The World Cup's coming up. Everyone's going to get a chance. And when you get a chance, if you take that chance, you can stay in the team. I'm rewarding you in form. Ten Hag doesn't want to repeat the toxicities that happened under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's telling players, I'm rewarding you in form. And if we look at the Manchester United fixture list, Ten Hag has the statistics to prove that. Because look, we've got a game on Sunday, a game on Thursday, a game on Sunday, a game on Thursday, a game on the Sunday, a game on, I think that's actually the Wednesday, a game on the Sunday again, the game on the Thursday, a game on the Sunday again, a game on the Thursday, a game on the Sunday again, a game on the Wednesday, a game on the Sunday again. So for the next, we've got 9 games, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got 12 games, and then if you're thinking about the ones coming up after the international break, 13, 14, 15, we've got about 16 games in less than 2 months. We're at a point where Man United have a game every 3 days, and this is what Ten Hag's been telling players, saying, everyone's going to play, everyone's going to be heavily involved. So just because I'm not changing the lineup a lot at the moment, because it's a winning lineup, why change a winning lineup? Doesn't mean you're going to not get an opportunity, because we know this game against Omonia, or whatever they're called in the Europa League. Let's be honest, I'll tell you who will play in this game. Omonia will be Dubravka in goal. It will probably be, Maguire might not be fit, but it will probably be Lindelof and Lisandro Martinez as the centre-backs, if that's the case. It will probably be Luke Shaw as the left-back to get his form back, and it will probably be Wan-Bissaka at right-back. I think in the midfield, it will be Casemiro, because I do believe McTominay will play on Sunday. But tomorrow, we will have an idea of who the lineup is. There could be a leaked lineup out tomorrow, so make sure you subscribe, because tomorrow I will be talking about the City lineup. Casemiro, Donny will probably play in midfield, and Fred. I think we'll see a midfield 3 versus Omonia of Casemiro, Donny, and Fred. I think we'll see Martial start at striker, because I don't think he's going to be fit enough to start versus Man City. I think we could see Ronaldo play. Actually, I think we'll see Ronaldo play striker, Sancho on the right, Elanga on the left, maybe. But I know the midfield 3 versus Man City is likely to be McTominay, Eriksen, and Bruno. But the midfield 3 versus Omonia, I'm pretty sure will be fully rotated to Casemiro, Donny, and Fred. And Casemiro, Donny, and Fred, guys, doesn't that sound like a good midfield 3? Because that sounds like a good midfield 3 to me. And I think if they have a good game, it's Omonia, they should do. If they have a good game, they can get back in for the Everton game. And you never know, Donny could put in such a 10 out of 10 performance for the Everton game that it could be McTominay, Donny, and Eriksen playing in midfield. And that's what Ten Hag is telling the players. There's loads of games coming up. We've got City, we've got Everton, we've got Newcastle, we've got Tottenham. Like, we've got so many games coming up that there will be lots of rotation as well. We're on 101 likes, guys. Can we hit 200 likes? Please do hit that like button if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below if you're new. We will talk about Cody Gakpo, the rumours that Cody Gakpo could be joining Manchester United as well. And do you think McTominay is going to get sent off for stumping Haaland? You know what? McTominay, I swear, McTominay, man, gets a yellow card every game. I have this conspiracy theory that McTominay manages to get a yellow card every game. I can't think of the last time I watched a football game where McTominay's not come out with a yellow card. I think he's got a yellow card in every single Man United game he's played this season, or bar one. Like, man, McTominay and yellow cards is crazy. But what I will say is McTominay to get sent off for fouling Haaland. If it's a 90th minute tactical foul, I'm absolutely all for it. But I will tell you this about Scott McTominay. Interesting fact about Scott McTominay. If McTominay picks up one more yellow card, he gets a suspension. So if McTominay plays and he gets a yellow card, he will not be able to play the next game versus Everton, which basically confirmed, yeah, Casemiro will play because of all that situation going on. Guys, please do subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you have not already. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, updates and more, make sure you're subscribed because I go live every single evening, keeping you guys up to date with all the latest news, transfer news, updates and more. So do subscribe to the channel, and remember, I am going to be live on Sunday for a Manchester United versus Manchester City watch long. I cannot wait for my watch long. I cannot wait for Premier League football to return. It has been too long without Premier League football. It's absolutely driving me crazy. So make sure you're subscribed for the watch along as well. But let's get into the next story. Lots and lots to talk about as well. Pep Guardiola has actually come out and spoken about Manchester United players. Pep Guardiola said about Erling Haaland versus Lisandro Martinez. You know, a lot of people are saying that Erling Haaland is going to ruin Lisandro Martinez. And there's a lot of talk going around about, can Lisandro Martinez keep up with Erling Haaland? And you've got your Jamie Carragher coming out saying there's no chance. Martinez isn't good enough to deal with Haaland. And let me get this on the screen. Pep Guardiola says, I like when people underestimate players for size. He can tell them, I'm here and a good player. He's a fantastic player, aggressive, good build-up. United paid this money and Erik knows him. That is the boy, Pep Guardiola, completely defending Lisandro Martinez as well. Daniel said that Rashford and Martial are back in training and hopefully Donny and Casemiro both need to start. I agree. I'd like to see Donny and Casemiro be involved. I don't believe they will start versus City. Maybe Casemiro as well. Will Bruno be dropped? I believe Bruno will play. Bruno did have a decent international break as well. And Erik Ten Hag knew how to nullify Haaland in the Champions League with Martinez and Timber. Just need to listen to the gaffer. I agree with you. I actually believe we're going to beat City. And a lot of people will think I'm crazy. And I have this deluded confidence here that Man United are going to beat Man City. I actually have this confidence that for some reason we're going to beat Man City. If for some reason we're going to get a result. For some reason we're going to beat Man City. And I do fully believe that. And maybe I'm a little bit deluded. I don't know why I think we're going to beat Man City. But I just have this belief because I just know that Ten Hag is a big game manager. Ten Hag's proven it time after time after time. Ten Hag's proven a lot that he's a big game manager. You know, with the big teams, Ajax knocked out the Champions League. You know, at Ajax, he knocked out some big teams out of the Champions League. You know, he knocked out Real Madrid. You know, he knows how to deal with the big teams. He knows how to deal with the big managers. We've seen it against Arteta. We've seen it against Klopp. I actually think we're going to beat City because I think it's going to be very similar to the Arsenal game. However, I think if Martial and Rashford are unable to play, I take that back. I think if we beat City, it's because Rashford's fit. I think Rashford, and I'll say this again, is going to be integral to that Man City game. I love Marcus Rashford. I really hope he's fit to play because I think he will be integral. I think Marcus Rashford's pace in behind actually probably will determine whether we can get a result versus Man City or not, in all honesty. I do think that as well. We have an 11% chance of winning. I actually think we have a decent chance of winning. I do. I just feel like Ten Hag's going to do it. I actually am more confident of us beating Man City than Everton. I believe that the way we're playing, the momentum bounce, we're going to do it. But I'm also worried because there's been such a big break. Will there be any momentum lost? Showcott Khan said, I hope Iqbal, Savage and Palestri and other youngsters get a chance. Exactly. I think with the Europa League coming up, it's actually been reported that Sedan, Iqbal and Palestri are set to be on the bench for the Europa League games. Ten Hag really rates Sedan, Iqbal and Palestri. You've got to remember this. Sedan Iqbal was a player that Ten Hag used a lot from the academy, and I do believe they could feature in the Europa League game. I think they will come on as subs though if they do feature as well. And that's the energy here. I'm positive. I feel like we're going to win. I'm deluded too, but come on, United. I'm absolutely deluded, and I absolutely believe United are going to win against Man City, and then I believe we're going to go and win against Ammonia. I think Ten Hag, I generally have convinced myself. I'm not going to lie. I'm generally this deluded. I fully convinced myself that Ten Hag was going to go on a 10-game winning streak and we're going to go into the World Cup top of the league. I mean, I've convinced myself that. I know that's not going to happen. I know that. Look, you know what? If we lose, it's going to be heartbreaking. I feel like when we lost against Brighton and when we lost against Brentford and when we lost last season, my expectations of United were so low anyway that when we did lose all those games last season, it didn't hurt because I knew we were shit and I accepted we were shit. But right now, I'm liking the players again. I'm trusting the players again. I'm believing in Ten Hag. I believe United are going to go somewhere. And if we lose now, it's just going to hurt even more because I've actually got some belief of, oh shit, like United are going to go somewhere. United could win these games. United are going to do well. So I won't lie, I'm a little bit nervous in the sense of if we lose, I'm going to be really heartbroken. I'm going to be really gutted in all honesty because I've let myself believe that United are back. I've let myself, go, this is it. We're back. Now, if we lose, I wouldn't be surprised because he's Pep, it's Man City, they're the best team. But I've fully convinced myself Ten Hag's going to put in a masterclass. I think pace, counter-attack. I think it's going to be like the Ollie days when we beat City. And maybe I'm deluded and all of this, but I just look at how fantastic Eriksen was and how good Eriksen was in the international break. I look at how good, Casemiro was in international break, Lisandro Martinez brilliant international break, McTominay international break, Delo scored 2 goals, fantastic international break. All of our players, bar Ronaldo and Maguire, who aren't going to probably start anyway, all our players that are going to start have had a fantastic international break. So it gives me this more confidence that United are going to do something. But what are your score predictions for tomorrow's game? Do let me know in the chat your score predictions for tomorrow's game. Showcart Khan is saying 2-1 United. Alex B is saying we are solid at the back now, just need to keep concentration and take our chances. Exactly. I think being solid at the back is the best attribute we can have going into this Manchester City game as well. I think the fact that we are a lot more solid at the back at the moment is really going to help us going into that Man City game. Going to really help us have that balance, I think, going into that City game. Because, they score goals. And I think for us against City, it's about shutting up shop, being very controlled at the back, maintaining ourselves well at the back, and hitting City on the counter-attack. I think that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to hit City on the counter-attack, and it's about taking those opportunities. I do think versus Man City, it will be a tight game. I think Pep will be worried seeing what we've done to Arsenal, seeing what we've done to Liverpool. I think City could be a bit reserved. I think against Man City, it's going to be a tight game. I do think it could come down to actually who takes their chances versus Man City. I think a big thing of it could come down to who takes their chances. If Oli could beat Man City 4 times with poor Man United side, Ten Hag could rip them apart potentially as well. And if Erik Ten Hag does win against City, will Manchester United ball back him in January? Probably not. I think if we're like 20th place in January, they'll spend money because they'll want us to get into the top 4. But I think if we do well, if Ten Hag does well, he'll get less money spent on him. That is the problem. The more results Ten Hag gets, the less money gets spent on him because they'll think the squad's good enough. That's what happened with Oli. And Rashford can only play counter-attacking football. As soon as we start playing the Ten Hag way, Rashford will struggle. Potentially, however, I think one of the reasons Rashford can only play counter-attacking football is because he's not been coached. I think Ten Hag will coach Rashford because I've always said Rashford can't play as a striker. I think this season, I don't think Rashford can play as a striker, but I think this season Rashford's looked okay as a striker because he's been coached by Ten Hag and his decision-making has clearly improved. I think Ten Hag will coach Rashford to play his system. I think Rashford is born to play Ollie's way, but I think Rashford could transition into Ten Hag's way. And I think even if Ten Hag does play his attacking fluid system, you still need a player like Rashford because you still need to do counter-attacks and attacks. And I think maybe Rashford will struggle. I think Sancho and Antony will thrive, but I think that Ten Hag will coach in Rashford. Erik Ten Hag's a brilliant manager. Guys, smash that like button if you love Erik Ten Hag. Smash that like button if you rate Ten Hag. We've got 250 people watching, so let's go for 250 likes as well. Mighty Man feels like it could be a 1-1 draw. A lot of people saying 1-1 draw. I'm also delusional, can't shake off the confidence. I think we haven't played in 4 weeks. I'm delusionally excited about this game. A lot of people saying 1-1 draw. I'm going to go 2-1 United. It's the Bull Manager derby, as Will said. I'm going to go 2-1 United. I just feel like we're going to win 2-1. David said, if we lose, we lose, but if we win, it's massive. Oh, if we win, it's massive. Is that the Etihad? I think it's at the Etihad, isn't it? I haven't actually checked if it's a home or away game. I think it's at the Etihad as well. And stopping Kevin De Bruyne in the middle is key. It may help Haaland. I agree. The Haaland Kevin De Bruyne link up is disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. And I think if we can sit there and we can nullify Haaland and nullify and Kevin De Bruyne, it will help us a lot, because I think it's going to come through KDB and Haaland. John Stones is out injured for City, which I think is a big loss as well, because John Stones has been very integral to the way they play. I tell you who I hope's injured is Kyle Walker, because I think Kyle Walker's their pace at the back. If Kyle Walker doesn't play and Rashford's fit, I think we'll win and cause them problems. Getting that pace in behind as well. Jadon is going into centre, taking them chances. I'd like to see Jadon Sancho deployed in a cam role. I really would like to see Jadon Sancho play central. I think, he's a very good playmaker, and I don't think he has that blistering pace, that I actually think he could be more beneficial central. Rashford's a player that's very good out wide on the wing because he's got that pace. Sancho's a player that I'd like to see in the middle as well. Jadon and Rashford have a point to prove, should be in the England squad. Rashford and Sancho should have been in the England squad. I'm sorry, Jack Grealish, Jared Bowen, Mason Mount, what the fuck have they done? I'm not even going to go on those three attackers. Why is Connor Cody being called up? Why? Drop Connor Cody and bring in Jadon Sancho. Why does Southgate need all those defenders? He wasn't even going to play them. He didn't even play Tomori. Why bring all those defenders if you're not going to play them? He should have brought in Jadon Sancho, because I'm saying this now, and people won't like me for saying this. Phil Foden is crap for England. He's one of the most overrated players ever. He's a good player. He's a City product. But when he plays for England, he's absolutely crap. And anyone with eyes can see Phil Foden is crap for England. Saka's good for England. Rashford's good for England. Rashford, Saka, Sterling are good for England. Sancho's never even got a chance for England. Foden, we know, is crap for England. Mount, we know, is crap for England. Bowen, we know, is just not that great, actually, and had a decent moment. I think, for the World Cup, we're going to need Sancho, because I also think where England lack is a 10. England lack a creative playmaker. England lack a 10. I think Sancho can play there. And I think Southgate's an absolute knob, because ever since Southgate has stopped calling out Rashford and Sancho, England haven't won a game. The last time we won a game was when Sancho and Rashford were getting called up. So all I'm saying is, Southgate, do you think that's a coincidence? I think not. The Man United boys are more important than you think. And the thing that annoys me about Southgate is Sancho's been playing well. Rashford's been playing well. Grealish hasn't. He's not. And Grealish, Grealish isn't a player like Kane. If Kane isn't playing well, he gets called up for England because he's Harry Kane. We always know that Southgate's wingers are Sterling and Saka. They're Sterling and Saka because they're good for England. Grealish is never that good for England. So the way I look at it is, if Grealish is poor for City and he's never that good for England, why should he be pulled up if he's not playing well? I like Grealish. I think he's a great player. But if he's not playing well, and if Bowen's not playing well, and they've not done much for England, why should they be called up? I get why Maguire and Luke Shaw would be called up, because they were good for England at the Euros. But there's certain players where if they're not that good for England, like Mount, and they're not being good for club form, why do they get called up? But enough of that, me blabbing on and on and on. Why is my phone going? Can't be asked to answer that. But Rashford was understandably given that he was injured. Yeah, apparently Rashford would have actually been called up if he wasn't injured, and that's probably why Connor Cody got called up, because I cannot understand why Connor Cody got called up. As Daniel said, Tomori needs to be called up. The thing is, Tomori was called up, he wasn't even played. Trent was called up, he wasn't even played. I mean, going into the World Cup is interesting as well. But I think Foden struggles adapting from years in such a progressive style into Southgate's rubbish tactics. I agree. I don't think Foden's a bad player, but I just think he, maybe because he's so used to playing under a good manager, he can't play under a manager with shit tactics. Maybe there. And talking of the City game, let's get back on topic of United. Alex B says Casemiro needs to be in there, try and get hold of the midfield and offer top quality defensive cover. I'd like to see Casemiro in the City game. In tomorrow's video, we will talk about the lineup we'll see versus City and my lineup versus Man City and all of that as well. I think McTominay will play just because he's been good for United, and Ten Hag won't want to change a winning lineup, and McTominay was actually fantastic for Scotland. But I would really, really like to see Casemiro play. I think Casemiro will be in thing. Would like to see Anthony be more confident in his plays. Anthony's been okay for Man United, but I will admit Anthony hasn't been amazing yet. And I think it's because we're playing this less progressive style of football. And I think once Anthony gets back to his best, we get back to Ten Hag ball, we will see the best of Anthony. You've got to remember, we're not actually playing Ten Hag ball. We are playing a very restricted style of Ten Hag football. Ten Hag's had to adapt and change the football he's playing purely because, you know, the team was struggling. You know, in our first 2 games which we lost, we averaged 60% possession. In the 4 games we won in a row, we averaged 40% possession. But Ten Hag's realised we don't have the defence to handle, you know, the way we're playing. Ten Hag's we don't have the defence to handle the way we're playing. So Ten Hag's made us play his defensive way to win games. Ten Hag is playing an adaptation of his football to try and win games. Ten Hag's completely changing his style up to try and win games. And, you know, I think when we actually play Ten Hag ball and Ten Hag attacking football, we're going to see the best of it. And just remember, guys, Ten Hag won Manager of the Month, and he's not even playing Ten Hag ball. Like, we won 4 games in a row. He's won Manager of the Month, and we're not even playing Ten Hag ball. I'll mute my fucking phone because it's doing my head in. Why is my phone going off like that? Someone keeps texting me. But you've got to remember, he's Manager of the Month. We're not even playing Ten Hag ball. I actually tweeted this. I tweeted, obviously, Martial's back in training. Ten Hag and Rashford have been player of the month and Manager of the Month awards. It's a good day to be a United fan. Absolutely a good weekend as well. But I also wanted to point out the fact here, if I can find it, if we go back to this here, you've also got to remember, where is it? Me taking, I mean, come on, this picture, Ten Hag Manager of the Month, man. This picture, but, you know, we're not even playing Ten Hag ball yet. Good to see Premier League back and European leagues back. Exactly. Who is leaking? No one's leaking things at the moment, but if people are found of leaking things, they will be exiled from the squad. And there was obviously the leaks surrounding Maguire as well. Do I think Antony will start? I do believe Antony will start tomorrow. I'd love to see Casemiro, but how do you justify dropping McTominay at the moment? Yeah, and I agree. And I can't believe we're saying this. I can't believe we're sitting here saying, well, how do we justify dropping McTominay? I mean, it's Casemiro. It's McTominay. We shouldn't have to justify dropping McTominay for Casemiro, but McTominay has been a completely different player. Like, I'm one who's criticised McTominay a lot, but McTominay's come out and he's looked like a completely different player. And I sit here and I think, oh my god, we can't justify dropping McTominay because he's been very good. And I'm thinking, this isn't the Scott McTominay I know. This isn't the Scott McTominay I know one bit. But he's been absolutely brilliant for Manchester United. And, you know, it's thinking like maybe he's got to play as well. It was said that Anthony Martial was in training all week. This is the news of the week, guys. This is the news of the week. Actually, let me get the news of the week up before we end the live stream. We've got Ten Hag lifting his thing, but I want to actually get the news of the week up here. Let me paste this in here. This is the news of the week. Anthony Martial was in training all week with the group, performing really well, making a good impression. Marcus Rashford, he returns into training, so we're happy with that. This is what Ten Hag has said. Martial and Rashford are back, and we want to see Martial, Rashford, Sancho front 3 for United. We do. What is our best squad? What is our best squad? Because I think this, when everyone's fit, I'm going to show you what I believe our best squad is when everyone's fit. I want to see Martial play striker. All right. I want to see Sancho on the right, and then I do think Antony will play, and I think, you know, we'll talk about that. But I want to see, this is the squad. Actually, you know what? This is the squad I want to see for United. I want to see Antony on the right. I want to see Sancho playing a central role, because I think Sancho could be really good in that central role. We've got Eriksen. We've got Casemiro, who, you know, prime Casemiro has to play over McTominay, and he will long term. We've obviously got Delot, who's been fantastic. A part of me wants to go with Luke Shaw, but Malacia hasn't put a foot wrong. We've obviously got Martinez, best centre-back in the Premier League right now, in my biased opinion. We've got Varane, and we've got David De Gea. And this is the team I'd really like to see play. And I think this team will be brilliant. And this is the team I'd like to see come end of the season, all working well together. But Martial and Rashford are back fit. You know, Ten Hag could play this team. I don't think he will. I do think tomorrow versus Man City we'll see McTominay. We'll see McTominay central. I think we'll see probably Martial rested. Maybe we'll see maybe Rashford here, and maybe Sancho here, and I think we'll see Bruno instead of Sancho. I mean, this is what I think we'll see. But I would like to see Sancho given a go centrally. I still think Sancho can do a job centrally, but I do believe this is probably the team we're going to play tomorrow as well. Shitty manufactured plastic for 10 club, that is Man City. And I drop Bruno, go Casemiro, Scott Eriksen, said Alex B. Be a bit different. He could do that. He could be a bit more defensive, but I'm not sure what he's going to do. I'm not sure if he's going to change it up too much from the winning lineup. It's going to be really interesting to see. And tomorrow we will talk about the lineup that. It's going to be really interesting to see tomorrow. Like, how does he differentiate? Does Ten Hag, do a completely different squad versus Man City because it's been 4 weeks, or does he still continue with that team that's been winning? And I think this is our 4-week break from Premier League, but obviously we're going to have a 7-week break from Premier League come the fucking, World Cup. I think that's going to be interesting. How do we respond to the 7-week break from football during the World Cup? How is Ten Hag going to adapt to that? Because I actually think this here has been like this. The time period that we've missed football is half of the World Cup. It'll be interesting to see how we respond. When the time period extends to 8 weeks without Premier League football during the World Cup. Guys, please do smash that like button, and of course subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new. If you do want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, football news and more, please do subscribe. I am going to end the live stream here, but I will be live tomorrow 6:30. So do subscribe for tomorrow's live stream 6:30, and Bruno could be a false 9, which would be interesting. Yeah, tomorrow we're going to talk about the Man City game. We're going to talk about transfer news. So live 6:30 tomorrow. So subscribe for that. Sorry if I couldn't reply to all the live chats. See you in my next live stream. Good to see you. Bye.